pleasure to introduce Richard Lancaster, writer, film producer, raconteur, and cultural ambassador. In the last 7 years, you have researched, produced, scripted, and directed 3 feature-length movies and full-length mockumentaries they were. What motivated you to add to this total, this list of cultural endeavours, I should say? And you published 3 books of fictional short stories and an anthology of poetry as well.
Colin, before I answer that question, I would very much like to thank you for this cultural ambassador bit. I think that's marvellous. I don't know whether I deserve to be called a cultural ambassador, but however, to answer your question directly, I had been searching consistently for somehow and some way to promote art and cultural aspects of this wonderful Moreton Bay region. The idea of 3 mockumentary movies came to me largely out of horrible histories which I had seen with the BBC. We produced them and everybody enjoyed them. All of the actors and all of the production staff and so forth were all amateur. They'd never done this before. So it was an exciting new movement for them. And on top of that, it was my contribution to assist in the promotion of art and culture in the Moreton Bay region.
What is your creative process to develop a short story?
Now that's a fairly complicated question because there are a number of ideas in that area. They can come from anywhere. Being a journalist, I'm lucky enough to meet a lot of interesting people. And everybody, Colin, has a story. And somehow the stories come out, and what I do with them is I sort of store them away in my memory bank, and once I'm ready to do it, I then look at the story, and significantly all of my stories must have a twist at the end of it. So I'm a follower of O. Henry, of Roald Dahl, of all those wonderful people who wrote short stories with twists at the end. So it's largely from people that I meet and ideas that come to me throughout my life, I guess.
Are there elements of truth in your fictional short stories?
Well, yes.
Are the characters drawn from your life?
Yes, they are. There are certainly quite a lot of elements of truth in them because, as I said earlier, most of them come from meeting people and gleaning information from the stories they relate to. You know, as I said once before, everyone has a story, Colin, and that's the wonderful part about it. You've got stories, I've got stories, and life is full of stories, so I guess, yes. And yes, there are elements of stories of my own personal life, yes, indeed.
From your most recent short stories, what is your favourite?
Again,
if you do have a favourite.
Well, I don't really have a favourite, but there are a number of them that I guess appeal to me. The one more recently that appealed to me was What Goes Around Comes Around. Now that story is very relevant considering what's been going on recently on television and radio and all the rest of it with Victoria Cross winner Ben Roberts-Smith. Because that story in my 3rd book of short stories, not quite a dozen, relates to Afghanistan and a young bloke who is in the war. So I was almost inclined to write that as a full novel. But I sort of thought, no, I won't. I'll keep it to a short story, and that's the way it came out. I'm very happy with that one, but I'm happy with pretty much most others.
Is any of your short stories very personal to you, and why?
Yes, there are. There are a number of stories, and there are 36 in the total of 3 books. Some of them relate to places that I've lived in, which is Sri Lanka for a start. There's 1 or 2 stories in there that relate very much to my life in Sri Lanka and in India as well. But more so in Australia, because I've spent the last 50 odd years, I should say, in Australia. So, you know, they're stories about ordinary people with extraordinary happenings.
Mm-hmm. Your anthology book of poets, I think your teeth are in there, anthology, covers quite a number of issues. Would you briefly tell us more about them?
Thank you, I will. The first one, the title, of course, of that wonderful book is Love, Dugongs and a Ship. Love is fairly explanatory. It's a whole series of rather intimate memories, and they were largely written 30, 40 years ago, of a series of love affairs that I had, which didn't always turn out to my liking. So it was an examination of my feelings, my romantic feelings, and my very sad feelings as well. So they're very personal to me. There's a section on the dugongs. The dugongs, to me, we have a herd of dugongs in Moreton Bay, which uniquely worldwide are the only herd of dugongs that are within 14 kilometres of a capital city, Brisbane. And the dugongs to me were very important. I established a group called the Redcliffe Dugongs, of which I think, Colin, you're a member.
Oh, I'm not a member.
You weren't a member? No. Oh, I beg your pardon. I thought you were. Because most other people were. We somehow or other must have missed you. I can't understand that. But yeah, the dugongs were very important. So there's poetry in there that highlight the importance of the environment and the importance of keeping and looking after the environment for not only ourselves, but for our children and their children as well. The other item, of course, was about a ship. And the ship, of course, is the Guyanda.
Yes.
Now, the Guyanda, to me, is again very important, because that vessel, the remains of that vessel, which is at Woody Point. Here we are at the final resting place of HMQS Guyanda, the once flagship of the Queensland Navy. It's quite remarkable, because here you've got it was in this case the Tsarist Russian invasion, so it was imperial, and they were in the Coral Sea with the idea of landing and taking over colonial Queensland. And the Guyanda and her sister ship, the Paloma, sailed up to North Queensland, and guess what? The Russians disappeared. Now, my worry was that we should have retained and looked after the remains of that ship, because that ship saved Queensland. Instead, we've allowed it to rot, and it's almost disappeared now. And in my book of poetry, there's a number of poems in there relating to that story. So I hope you will enjoy those, Colin.
Yeah. Personal question again. Given that you are 85 years young,
thank you.
What is your next project, if any? What is it, pray?
Oh, yes. Well, you see, I'm a firm believer, Colin, in if you enjoy something, and I enjoy writing, it's a creative process for me and I love it. So therefore, I'm going to keep writing until finally somebody upstairs or wherever, whoever it is, says, look, we've had enough of him, let's have him off stage. Yes, there are a number. I'm at the moment engaged in putting together a family edition of my life for my 3 sons and a daughter, and some very special ladies in my life as well. Hopefully they will find them interesting. There are a number of revelations or there will be some revelations in that story that are not for general publication, needless to say, because they're very personal. And I'm doing that one, but I also have another project that I'm quietly letting bubble away at the moment on the stove. And Colin, you'll forgive me if I don't share that with you.
Yeah, okay, I'll forgive you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, for your thoughts and aspirations and insight into your future projects. I'm sure we all wish you all very well, and thank you once again.
Well, thank you, Colin, and thank you again for the cultural ambassador bit.
You deserve it.
Thank you. This is called Homage to HMQS Guyanda. Where are the relics of Redcliffe's past? Why is it that they do not last? Too often their death is quickly cast, demolish their edifice clean and fast. Or is it that we just don't care, that our history is not there very much rare? It's merely only average fare, certainly not with pride to wear. Was Scarborough's hotel of no import? And did the Seabrae count for naught? Was it not our heritage for which our heroes fought? Or are they but memories worth little thought? Come on, people, come and stare. That's if you are willing to say a prayer. Guyanda's our history that we can share. Be proud that her being is still there. And there's another little one that I'd like to read to you. And it's called I'm a Refugee. I burnt an effigy of a man declared to be the dictator's deputy. I was to become a refugee. They arrested me, said it was their duty, and treated me like a crook in a movie. They beat me, I received no apology. I was becoming a refugee. I found a boat, it cost big money. The owner showed no empathy. Others joined me in sympathy. With them, I'm now a refugee. We sailed with so much energy, the boat was filled with synergy, but the sea it plotted cruelly, and now I am a refugee. We were rescued, though many died. They were the lucky ones, we cried. These hellish prison walls within which we hide as refugees. I'm sick and tired of no salvation, cursed by Dutton's harsh damnation, sitting in the filth of mired stagnation as a refugee. There is no hope for we, the damned. Our future is already programmed. Our bodies already bear the brand of being refugees. This is a very sad one, but it's very short. It's called Ukraine. I saw an image the other day. A teddy bear lost in dirt, he lay. I wondered who the owner was. The next pic told me the story, 'cause in the dirt near the teddy lay a little girl dead, all pale and grey. She'll play no more with Teddy boy. No longer will she that toy enjoy. A Russian shell did she destroy. She, a puppet of Putin's ploy. you.